What is up? This is Cut the Promo, the podcast that shoots on the WWE and leaves all others spine to the pine. I'm your host, Berto, and once again, I'm joined by Sammy and Ads as we go all gas, no breaks into our post-WrestleMania 41 dive. Boys, let me talk to ya. WrestleMania 41. How are we feeling? Who wants to go off first?
I'll go off first. I know that Sammy's very excited, or maybe slightly disappointed too, with the possible finish tonight too, and I'm sure that he'll get to that in due course. But being gone and done, but a couple of interesting nights, a lot of build-up, I guess, and some of the matches were slightly underwhelming. But then there were sort of moments throughout both nights where you're sort of like, this is definitely WrestleMania. Looking at the card, and we discussed it quite a bit last week, there weren't a stack of matches that really stood out as WrestleMania matches. Looking back to WrestleMania 40, I feel like every single match was just, you just had to see it. Like, you couldn't afford to go cook some chicken, as we talked about last week, quite a lot too. There are a couple of cooking chicken kind of matches, or going to have a shit. But whereas this year, on the card at least, it didn't look like it was too appealing. But some of those matches, to my surprise, and I'll sort of break it down a little bit more later on, they were sort of a bit better than I expected. So overall, pretty good feel. Did it match WrestleMania 40? No. Did I still enjoy it? Yes, of course I did, definitely. So I'll just leave our loyal listeners, and thanks so much for hitting us up on YouTube as well and Spotify. Already, we're just humbled and privileged by your love for us so early on in the piece. But Sammy, I'll let you give us your thoughts early on too.
That's where the humble and the privileged stops, unfortunately.
Playing the heel.
Pretty lackluster. I think. Yeah, I've got too much to say, so we're better off just getting into it, because I could sit here for ages.
Right. Well, so far we've got, reasonably happy with it and very lackluster. My opinion of this, and we've got the cerebral assassin putting all this together, and I really do think this is, I thought afterwards, originally, initial flow over the body was, shit. But then I really thought about it. This was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because, okay, there was a little bit of lackluster and all that, and I don't think it was ever going to come anywhere close to 40. I mean, it was, if this was WrestleMania 50, I'd be like, oh crap, someone shit the bed. But it was WrestleMania 41. You can't back up on that so quickly.
No, but like, it's Vegas though, Berto. Like, it's in Vegas. The stage is behind you, as you see. They've made it out to be this whole big, massive song and dance, and that's the way it's going to end.
But have they? What has been the story for the last few weeks? We have been told by John Cena he was going to ruin wrestling.
Yeah,
he was going to give us, the fans, nothing. And at the end of the day, we had a solid wrestling match between John and Cody, but we were all there. He came out with the friggin' No Frills logo, basically, to his entrance.
Yeah,
we got
that was so
nothing.
weird.
And the thing is, it was all laid out for us. If you go back now and think about the promos that have been laid out to us, it was all laid out, and I think that's the other part that's really overwhelming people. We all knew what to expect, because this was exactly what it was going to be. Hype it up, hype it up, hype it up. And then, bang, we're going to leave you feeling exactly like Cena has predicted.
I think the only thing is that, like,
stroke of genius.
Yeah, you could possibly say that. The only thing is that WrestleMania is not just about the Cody Rhodes and John Cena match. There were obviously lots of other, I guess, storylines leading up to the big event, whether it was night one or night two. So whilst John Cena said, he wants to ruin wrestling forever, I think like the overlay of the land is more so for the title the big guy in WWE. He wants to just, dumb it down a bit, or, put a bit of black and white shade onto it. Whereas Cody's, all the colors of the United States flag. And, he's the people's champion in a way, coincidentally or ironically enough, where, the Rock is the main guy trying to get rid of him. So there were other storylines leading up to that. So I don't know how much how much that's really going to affect it. But I sort of see Sammy's point, whereas it didn't really, and it never is going to hit the highs of 40, because that card was stacked from the first match to the last. But there were, I think, some really solid wrestling performances, and we'll get to a couple of the standout matches across the podcast, indeed. But I think what you want from a premium live event is not necessarily all the answers being given to you. You want to be left with plenty of questions. And certainly in numerous matches and numerous storylines, we got that. So people are going to be tuning into Raw tomorrow morning. They're going to be tuning into SmackDown on Friday. And as we will get to at the very end of our podcast, what is next? So yeah, like big time watch this space.
So let's talk about it. Night 1, we kicked off with Jey Uso and Gunther for the heavyweight championship. And look, yeet. Simple as. Were we happy with the match, boys?
Oh, absolutely. You cannot fault that match, regardless of the time, the length, however long it was. That man absolutely deserved it. He rocked it. He was fantastic. Congratulations to main event. Yeet.
I think it was definitely a really solid match. It was just, as I sort of said last week, it was just a really good wrestling match. And we know that Gunther brings, the A1 wrestling style to the ring. Jey had his, opportunities to be a little bit high flying throughout the contest too. No interference, which is just brilliant. And Jey won it fair and square. So I'm so intrigued to see what is next for him and who's going to be his next challenger. But also, where to now for Gunther? Because the last 12 to 24 months, we've just known him as the champion, the king of the ring, whether it's like Intercontinental Champion, whether it's king of the ring itself, and then, of course, the world heavyweight champion too. So I'm just fascinated to see where they take Gunther. But yeah, big time kudos to Jey for sure. Thoroughly deserved.
And what I really enjoyed about that match was there's been a lot of talk that Jey wasn't up for this. And the fact that he basically worked through the best of Gunther's moves to finish the job, which was phenomenal. Then to basically apply a headlock on him.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like, that just showed that Jey was at a different... Well, we knew he was going through a different mindset. And that just showed that he was at that mindset, and that when pushed, he's very dangerous. Absolutely loved it. Great match. So far, we're one really good match. The next one.
It's also worth
New
to
Day.
note that we're 1 from predictions so far.
Yeah,
True.
you can keep tallying that. I gave up after a while because I was starting to embarrass myself. All right, the New Day against the War Raiders. New
We called
Day
it.
sucks. New Day sucks. Yep.
I think.
And what was interesting...
Sorry,
Yeah,
you go,
go on.
Berto.
I was just going to say, what was interesting was no Big E.
Yes. We were screaming for it as well. I think like a lot of people were talking about, is he going to make an appearance? But it obviously just didn't happen. And I think we all agreed that the War Raiders have been pretty good world tag team champions, and long may it continue. But as I sort of discussed last week, I think it was Triple H must be super impressed with just the strong heel factor and the strong audience engagement that this brand New Day have, like just absolutely despising them so much that you just sort of have to run with that and see where it takes them. So they've got, a really strong heel faction. You've got numerous face tag teams on the Raw roster. So it sort of sets up for, a good little, 3 or 4 months before someone overtakes them.
Sammy, any thoughts?
Ah, that was shit. You're going to hear me say that a lot this episode. It was just Again, as we said, there was no big E appearance, as you said, but like, really, did they have to win? Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, but we're not going to talk about where things are going to go just yet. I'll tell you what I did like about it. And it had nothing to do with the match. It had nothing to do with the wrestling, nothing to do with the in-ring. If you watched the pre-show, the lead-up, New Day came out uninvited, and they, I think, deliberately slipped up and referred to them as the Viking Riders. Or the Viking Raiders, sorry. And they were corrected by Michael Cole that it's the War Raiders. Then if you take a look, apart from the fact that the War Raiders came out looking like Clash of Clans, because obviously that particular match was sponsored, did you notice how almost like, I don't know, that cyberpunkish sort of look there, the New Day's outfit looked like Vikings? Yeah, I reckon that would drop in a little bit of that. Just little things like that, and I do like that. I like the little
Easter eggs.
Little things. Yeah, little Easter eggs here and there. All right, the next one, which I'm going to say I slept on this hard and I was actually genuinely impressed. Jade Cargill against Naomi. Jade won and we called it. But I actually really enjoyed that match.
Sammy, I'll let you go first. If you can give us a little bit more than shit, just from a description perspective, please.
That
would be nice. Use your big brain.
Big brain, no work. It was a very slept on match. I thought it was going to be one of those matches, as we said last episode, where it'd be a toilet break, you'd go and get something to eat, make yourself a coffee, finish off your lunch, go and do something else. But I was glued to my seat. I was watching it. I was sending messages to Berto. We were having cheers and laughs, going, "Oh, okay, this is actually going somewhere." And then, obviously, it went the way that we expected it to. And I was like, "Okay, we're 3 from 3. Very nice. Here we go." And then all hell broke loose, and I think we lost pretty much every single thing after that. So I'll hand it over to you.
Not quite. We weren't that bad. Ads, your thoughts?
Nah, well, look, I was sort of big on Naomi, so I think that the character development that they put into her in the last sort of 4 to 5 weeks, when she did the heel turn, I thought that was just brilliant. And yeah, she had a great match with Jade. Jade's getting better and better in the ring from a performance perspective. So yeah, I think that, you know, what Naomi is with the, you know, proceed with caution kind of mantra she's got going at the moment. She's definitely due to have a beef with someone, and maybe it's going to be back with Bianca, because, you know, no spoilers will eventually be coming. Of course, Bianca did win the title, so what's next for her? And I know that we're going to get to that soon, but I think it has to be back with Naomi, so that is unfinished business, and that will be good to see, like, another side of Naomi too. But yeah, you guys were spot on. A really, really nice match for sure.
I'll tell you something interesting too, because this is obviously where I was at, watching all the little things. I quite liked, firstly, I liked Naomi's new intro. Sounded really cool. I'm not sold on the outfit, but whatever. It's WrestleMania. They all wear different outfits. But did you notice out of all the yellow and black, there's just one foot had a bit of the purple on it. Just on the bottom. Almost like there's just an element of glow still in Naomi. So I think that almost leads it open, but she's not going to stay heel for a long time. She's turned heel due to situation, as opposed to, I'm now just going to be an arsehole. All right, the next match, which, yeah, it was sick. Fuck! Ooh! Versus LA Knight. Now, firstly, LA Knight rolling up in a Maserati. That was sick. The moment he wound down the window and the music kicked in, I'm like, that was mint. That was fantastic. But boys, before I give my thoughts on the match, Ads, what'd you think?
Well, like you sort of called it about Jacob. Like you were pretty big on that in the previous podcast. I still reckon LA. I thought that he would still get the job done too. This was actually one of the probably better matches across both night one and night two. This had a lot of it. So had your ups and downs, still had your classic wrestling in, and then Jacob Fatu, just the enigma that he is, someone so big that can just like jump up and down the buckles and do those insane flips. Like you can't be doing that as a human. That's insane. So like really curious that he was able to put on those kinds of acrobatics. LA Knight, two title runs, maybe a little bit short, but I'm just so curious as to how and where Jacob Fatu is going to take this United States Championship run. And once again, we're left with a lot of questions about what does this look like for the bloodline. And again, we'll talk about that later on. But this is just a really great match. Had ebbs and flows, ups and downs, and just a really great finish. I think not many people would have predicted. I don't think they expected Jacob to get it done. I think a lot of people just presumed it was going to be LA Knight and continue his second title run for the US title. But hey, you got to like those unexpected moments of WrestleMania.
Absolutely. Sammy, your thoughts?
I'm already yawning. So, yeah.
Seriously, you found it boring?
I didn't find it boring, but as I said last episode, it's one of those titles where it's just a nothing title. It gets passed hands like a used toothbrush and a bong at a Christmas party. Like it's such a waste of a card. It's the same as the tag team. It was a waste of a match in there. I'm glad Fatu went out and won it because I'm sick of LA Knight being on the mic, doing his thing. As much as he can cut a great promo, he needs to cut the promo loose and just leave. Honestly, Jacobs won it. It was fantastic. I love he came out in the werewolf mask that he came out in.
Yes.
Also worth noting that the creator of the mask, the makeup designer and the special effects designer that did the mask, the werewolf one for Jacob, is also the same one that worked closely with Bray Wyatt on all of his masks. So
really?
There could be something going on with that. Obviously with the Wyatt 6, but again, not speculating this episode.
No. And look, there you go. Using your big brain. I'm really impressed. Look, I enjoyed the match. I mean, at the end of the day, was it WrestleMania worthy? Look, I think so. At the end of the day, you've got 2 nights to fill. And, yeah, if you're going to pass a title around, why not do it at WrestleMania? You are right. It is a title that is passed around quite often and frequently, but I think it's also a title that shows that they're about to give someone a push. And I think we'll see LA Knight's push. He's had it now twice. His push now will change. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going after Intercontinental or if he starts looking at Jay and giving him a bit of a rundown. But more importantly, this is now the start of Jacob's push. And they've been leading up to it for a while. This almost like just goes, right, this is solid. He's there. He's ready to go. I mean, ever since they gave the man a microphone, as opposed to him just standing there looking like he could kill someone just staring at him, he's shown that he's got the potential to be something huge. What I hope they don't do, and yes, we're not going to get into the where to from here real quick, but I will say I hope this doesn't spawn, now he's the next, Solo became the next Roman, Jacob becomes the next. So I'm done with that. Let's give him his own little airtime. All right. The match that could have been so much better, but unfortunately there was an injury. We had El Grande Americano or a large coffee at Starbucks versus Rey Fenix. Now, I want to quickly say that I have no issue with Rey Fenix. He's filled in a spot, great. But to be honest with you, the idea of almost like the trademark WWE Lucha Libre wrestler in Rey Mysterio, I probably just offended the whole Lucha community, or the whole of AAA are coming after me. But when you think Lucha, you think Rey when it comes to WWE. To demask a fraud would have been fantastic. Instead, we got a great match, but I think it felt very much like, oh shit, what are we going to do? Ray's injured. And I do hope, not that I hope that someone is injured, I don't want to wish ill on the man, but I do hope it's a case of, yeah, I do hope that it's a case of it's real and that's what's caused it as opposed to a kayfabe injury. Sammy, I'll go with you first. Thoughts?
Kevin Owen, take notes. Look, Ray did a fantastic job to go out there on such short notice. There's also another wrestler that got thrown in short notice for a match. It was perfect. We'll get into that in a second because what a match that was. I don't know, Berto's like holding on to his bloody pants at the moment. But very, very, very surprising that Chad Gable pulled out the win here, and there was no demasking. There was no, oh my god, look, it's Otis. I'm right here the entire time. that could have been something.
Shit, that would have. I reckon that would have been the finest bit of writing. Triple H should have just called me up and said, "Berto, what do you reckon, son? What do you reckon? He's a bag of cash."
Yeah, I would have much have preferred someone else had come out looking like Chad Gable. They had put the fake tattoo on his back and all the rest of it and setting them out there. And then next thing you know, you unmask it and it's some random or it's some backstage person that we've never seen before. And just out trots Chad Gable to his music. Out he trots going, no,
what?
I told you. Especially with the whole AAA accusation as well. Afterwards, there's a lot that WWE and AAA will now do for the Libre community itself. But again, no more speculations. Ads.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've probably got better thoughts than I do.
No, not at all. I mean, like from the match itself, like it was two, like obviously Chad Gable or El Grande Americano. They're both great athletes, so you know that they're going to put on a bit of a show. It was a really nice contest. I just, as I said in the last podcast, I just think for a WrestleMania match, even though it was originally Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano, I just don't think that should have been a WrestleMania contest. I mean, like, why isn't Lyra Valkyria defending her IC title? Why isn't Chelsea Green defending her United States Women's title? I just reckon that they deserve to have that spot over just a gimmicky kind of match, as much as people have interest in the Chad Gable and El Grande Americano. Like, if you're just looking at what it is, pretty good contest. Like, so some really high flying abilities from both individuals, and Ray Phoenix handled himself extremely well. Clearly, at such short notice, hopefully. I just reckon the spot could have gone to a more worthy individual, I guess, and again showcasing a title.
All right, next one. And look, I was happy with the outcome of this. Tiff versus Charlotte Flair. I think Tiff absolutely brought it. Her entrance was phenomenal. Charlotte, it just felt, yep, been there, seen it all before. I'm really happy with the outcome of that. Boys, any major thoughts on this one?
No.
Nah,
good victory, solid win. Let's move on. Tiffy time prevails.
Absolutely. And then we get to the three-way. Seth, Roman, Punk. Let's make sure we don't go into where to from here. But as far as a match goes, I thought this was phenomenal. I thought it was fantastic, the way that there was just back and forward, and at any point in time, any of these three could have pulled it out. CM Punk coming out to Living Colour, I just lost my shit. I thought that was fantastic. That was cool. But boys, what'd you think? And then what'd you think of the betrayal?
Sammy, you're up.
I'm last. You guys can go first.
Okay.
Go on, Ads.
Yeah, right. You sort of highlighted it a little bit earlier. Yeah, it just had everything that you would want in a main event of a WrestleMania card, whether it's night one or night two. And I think coming into this match, so many people were just unsure what way is it going to go. What is Paul Heyman going to do? And either one of these individuals you can clearly see winning the match for a wide variety of different reasons. I'm glad that I know that we sort of speculated a little bit about last episode about possible interference, whether it was, Dean Ambrose or someone else that, became the third member of the Shield. But I'm sort of glad that it didn't happen that way. I'm glad it was just kept to the three combatants, and then of course Paul Heyman too. And the way that it ended is, I can't remember who called it. Someone definitely called it. And then I think it was you, Berto. There you go, nodding your head, very excited.
No. It was Sammy. I'm going to give him his flowers. He called it.
Fair enough.
Look, I think between the two of us, we're throwing a lot of different ideas around, but Sammy, I think, had it the cleanest. I did at one stage throw into the chat, but I felt that there could be an alignment behind the scenes where Seth is aligned to maybe even The Rock or something like that, just because of a few little things. Then there was the whole 2.0 Shield idea and that over here, but I think Sammy had the cleanest outcome of being a full betrayal and Paul going to Seth. So we've got to give him his flowers. Maybe.
At least just once. So, Sammy, kick us off. Tell us, break it down. How
I told you so to start off with.
Fuck off.
That's fair.
It was great to see the mind games that they could all play with each other. For Punk and Heyman to start off with each other, Heyman kissing Punk's head, doing the whole watch thing. It's clobbering time. Poor Roman Reigns having to sit there the entire time. Then going through the entire match with Seth going, come on, we can do this together. Let's beat him together. Let's, picking him up on his shoulders, going, come on, you know what to do. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Like Shield 2.0, they're going to get back together. They're going to go for a tag team run together. Like the possibilities were flowing. I was going absolutely mental. And then all of a sudden, the chair comes out. And I go, oh shit, here we go. I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm like, this exact same thing happened 13 years ago. It's happened 10 years ago. It's the same thing that's happened with all three of them. They've all used a chair on each other. How's this going to work out? And then it worked out how we thought it was going to work out, with it originally going to Punk. And then as predicted, it went to Roman. And then as I just so magically called, it ended up with Seth, with the ultimate betrayal, doing an absolute inhumane off the top rope, just ridiculous splash on top of the two of them to just cover them, and that was it. It was done.
Yeah.
So
I got to give it to Paul. Jesus, Heyman can act.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
And I get it. There's a lot of over the top acting you have to do to be able to see in the arenas, but it's even the subtle things. Like I particularly like after he executed the full betrayal, just the way he sat his ass over in the corner and just sat there like a shit-eating son of a bitch. Honestly, he was as happy as a pig in mud. And when you think about it, I started to think about it afterwards. It actually does make a lot of sense because, okay, he might have been best buds with CM Punk, and who knows, maybe Punk didn't bring a bottle of wine to the latest Christmas dinner or something. I don't know. See, he might have been, CM Punk might have been a Heyman guy. And, I said on the last pod that, Heyman was more of a Roman Reigns guy. But at the end of the day, when it came to the Shield, it was Paul Heyman who brought the Shield in to protect Punk. And I don't know about you, and I will admit, during the times of the Shield, I wasn't watching a lot of wrestling there, but I have gone back and watched, the highlight reels and the storyline things that WWE put together. And Seth was always like the leader, if you will. And it makes sense. But at this point in time, Heyman's going to sit there and go with Seth. It was quite good. It'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, let's move into night 2. And we kicked off with another 3-way, Io, Bianca, and Rhea. And firstly, I am really pissed off that my girl Rhea didn't get the friggin' win. Ads, you had this one, you cheeky bastard. Well done.
I think we all got like a big prediction that we made. Like all of them came true. We made a lot of terrible predictions, but we all had one that was out there that the other two were like, no, that's not going to happen, like ridiculous. And then that actually came true. I thought this honestly was like, you could probably say the triple threat match at night one was probably the best match. I thought this was a very close second or a third. This was a great contest. EO just once again, maybe not being as valued as highly among the audience as, Bianca Belair. And of course, we love Rhea. She's just brilliant. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with her from here, having many, many title chances since she lost it. So where to for Rhea? But EO was just classic EO, those high flying, moves that she does. Yep. She once again just stole the show. But just those three individuals, they seem to just work really well together in the ring.
Yes.
With their kinds of finishes and their kinds of styles, it just meshes really well together. So that's obviously a lot of work that they do prior to the match to make sure it all flows. But that was a match that I was supremely impressed with. And just thank goodness I got at least one W across the 2 nights. So,
Sammy, anything to add there?
I think Ad summed it up really, really well. Then it was one of those matches where I was going into it going, this piece of piss, Rhea's gonna take this one out. But the outfall of it, an unhinged Rhea, is going to be insane. I cannot wait. Oh, cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely hectic. Congratulations.
It's going to be nuts.
Great match altogether.
I think the best part of the whole match was fantastic, but I think the part that I'll continue to remember was right at the start when Bianca and Rhea were about to push EO out of the way, and she's just held it like, nah. That was unreal. When she just blocked him, I'm just like, oh shit, here we go. It was unreal. All right, the next match, which was absolutely brilliant and brutal as far as I'm concerned, but Sammy and I were talking in the chat and we both think that maybe they had to change the ending on the fly. I've got nothing to back this up with except we both felt that in the Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest match, Priest ended up injured at the end there. And I've tried to do a little bit of research, and the best I've come up with was Sportskeeda turned around and said he was saying that he couldn't breathe or something like that.
Yeah, right at the end.
And he needed help to get out there. So whatever's happened, whether it was due to an injury in ring or whether it was just something's happened, like maybe he blew himself up too much or something like that, he wasn't in a good way. So it will be very interesting if it ever comes out, if the ending ended up being the way it was meant to be. But all that aside, great match. I was happy for Ivor to win. Highlight of that was Kerry King playing out Damo. That was sick. As an old school metalhead, But what I did like, and I don't know if you guys picked this up, you had Drew McIntyre coming out with the Doomslayer get up for Dark Days, and then you had Damo coming out being played out by Kerry King from Slayer. So just something, bit of an Easter egg there anyway. All right, go for it, boys.
Only you would pick up on that, Berto. Of course, the hard metal rock man, the music man that you are. So yeah, all of our other audience members who are quite young, they're probably going, Kerry who? But anyway, that was it was a terrific entrance, and we know that the WWE love doing their live music, intros for a couple of their guests. And their wrestling, I guess, the wrestlers, sorry, should I say. This is like brutal, it was gruesome. It was just two solid guys that we know that they can throw fists, and we know that they have matches that are just extremely tough. And it was exactly that. It was, obviously a couple of shades down from that brutal CM Punk and Drew McIntyre Hell in a Cell match a couple, 3-4 months ago, or however long it was ago now. But it was just, he didn't really care who won. He just wanted them to bring it, and they did. And, the theory, I guess, who knows? But when you go through two tables, it's certainly not going to make you feel fantastic. So I wouldn't be surprised if something happened to him, and then maybe they had to force a quick victory there. But, nice, brutal match. And you have to have one of those during WrestleMania. Just like, you know, a
Gorgeous.
no DQ match or a no holds barred or, you know, falls count anywhere, that kind of contest. And yeah, it was exactly that. Nailed the brief.
Sammy?
You both summed it up pretty much exactly how I would have. The only other thing that I would have added is it was maybe 2 minutes before the match ended, before he went through the tables, and then he dragged back into the ring, obviously then pinned, and then he's done the whole I can't breathe, like I'm, you know, and his face was physically struggling, and you could see it, and that's when I go to Berto, I'm like, they've changed this for sure. You can see originally he was going up the ropes, trying to get to the top rope. He was trying to do the old Undertaker style, and the next thing you know, whether he's called an audible on the mat or they've had to change it or whatever, he's then gone through the table and then he's been pinned. The match has been called and he's got the help that he's needed. So praise up to him, because other than that, I thought it was a great match and it probably could have gone on for a hell of a lot longer than it did.
Absolutely. All right. The 4-way. Dom, Bron, Finn, Penta. All I can say is, freaking dirty Dom, you son of a bitch. The dogs will still bark in my heart. You guys can talk about it.
Sorry, Sammy, you go first. I think you're up for the first hit this time.
I actually liked it. I liked the turn that he's done on Finn now.
Yes.
Especially with what happens in the next match, which we'll cover quite quickly. It sets up so much, and it's absolutely fantastic. I think Dominic winning it, Ray having time off. Obviously, Ray Phoenix had to step in for him in that match, but Rey Mysterio having time off, Dom now getting this chance and being the new Intercontinental Championship, potentially setting up a future match between Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio for an Intercontinental Championship. Well, chef's kiss. Fuck the dogs are barking. Piss everyone else off. I thought it was fantastic. Judgment Day's done. Ads, take it away.
Yeah, like the last line is just brilliant. Like, Judgment Day has to be done. Like, I think so many people are over that storyline, and, you know, Finn and everything, and whether Finn and Dom have probably a title run, or is in a title rivalry over the coming month. You probably think that has to be the case because there's unfinished business there. But from a Judgment Day, it's got to be finished. Yeah, like, it was just a really solid match. You know, for pretty well credentialed individuals in the ring. I feel like sometimes, I know that he's absolutely hated by the world, Dominic Mysterio, and he's turned into that great heel across the last 3 years. But I think he sometimes gets underestimated as a wrestler too. So he had a really strong performance himself, and yeah, you know, opportunistic, and you have to be in those fatal 4-way matches. You know, Bron's, of course, going to have a rematch sometime in the future, whether that's immediate or short term. Time will tell. And, like, is he going to do an LA night where he gets the title, then loses it, and then gets it back a couple of months later? But big time watch this space for that. But yeah, like, as much as you don't like him, you have to give him his credit for sure. Yeah. Congratulations, Dom.
All I can say is bye-bye Judgment Day. And Dom, you're about to eat a filthy spear. All right, the next match. And I've called this at the end of the day. It was called. I called it. I don't care. Randy stood out in the ring, called out to whoever was willing to come down, and one man, the prestigious one, the local hero, Joe Hendry, answered the call. And wasn't that magic? It was brilliant. And all I can say is that when his contract is up in TNA, if they do not give him a contract for WWE, I don't know what's going on. He's either really, really happy in TNA and allergic to money, or God knows. But I can see him. He's now done Royal Rumble. He's now done WrestleMania. And yeah, there's a bit of talk online. He ate a couple of RKOs too quick. Some people are like, this is your so-called TNA champion. As if they were going to let the vet turn around and be absolutely worked by Joe. At the end of the day, I think there's still a working out of whether Joe is as big as he really is or what. who cares? I don't think, like, on X afterwards, Joe's like, I just wrestled Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I mean, the dude's elated. It's unreal. And you talk about someone who has been in the game for a long time, but literally pulled the trigger and, determined his own fate. Well done. Great match. I thought it was fantastic at the start. Randy tried to put the quick RKO on him, and he's like, yeah, no, we'll have none of that, thank you. And then Randy's loving doing the spin afterwards. That ending towards the end, and then Randy doing the spin. Magic. Boys, did you enjoy it or what? Because I thought it was lovely.
Sammy, you go first, mate.
It was a nice, quick match. I'm going to keep my answer short and sweet. It was a nice, quick match. It was nice to just see him come in there, get his 5 seconds of fame. He did the whole congratulations. Oh my God, this is a WrestleMania. Hey, yeet. Suck another one into you. Absolutely fantastic. I was cackling it. I got my mum invested in watching it even today, which is unheard of. And we both had an absolute ball watching these last few matches, especially that one in general. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's spot on there as well. I think when we think about WrestleMania, we think about WrestleMania moments, and that was one right there. I think a lot of people had thought that it could have been Joe, but then as we sort of touched on last week in the prediction podcast, there were another 3 or 4 names that could have easily been. So it could have gone to Solo Sikoa, or we spoke about Malachi Black, and then they could have gone in a couple other different directions. So it was a great choice. Super popular, and interesting. Berto, you talk about Joe and what his contract situation may look like if when his TNA one expires. Yeah, you'd have to think it has to be a no-brainer for Triple H and his team to get him over, because he has massive interest amongst the fans and could be a super popular face.
Absolutely. Speaking of getting over, the next match, Logan Paul and AJ Styles. I'm just going to say,
God.
Logan is winning me over.
I was going to say, can we not take this match, please? That was awesome.
That was unreal. Logan, honestly, a couple of reasons. I'm taking the mic here. Bugger it. Firstly, Logan plays a fantastic heel. He knows he's a shithead, and he plays it up. Fantastic. But what I really liked about this match was the opportunity was there for him to get the dirty win as usual, and he won clean. And the wrestling itself was fantastic. He's in there with AJ, who is an absolute excellent executioner in there, technical as, and he held his own absolutely well. At no point did it feel like, oh yeah, it's just another celebrity playing wrestler. He's the real deal. He really is the real deal. And I'm happy that he plays a smug little shit. Brilliant. Lean into it. Walk around with your prime bottles and carry on. He's won me over. He's won me over. I feel dirty saying it, but I'll get over it. Sammy, you're rubbing your hands. I'm throwing to you first. Go.
I loved it. I loved the fact that, the smart little blonde-headed shit in the background finally gets one for Team Blondies. So I'm cheering over here playing devil's advocate for the shit stirrers. But yeah, as you said, and as I said to you as soon as it happened, the chance for him to fight dirty and not, some would say it was phenomenal. But I thought it was...
I mean, I don't know. It's... that's right.
One could say that was appalling.
Oh God, dude. And it's rolling along as it does. I think credit to him for sure. That was a really, really good match. AJ, as you sort of touched on, Berto, he's a technician in the ring. So to stay with him from a Logan Paul perspective for that long across the contest was quite impressive. But if Logan is so impressive and he's invested in his wrestling journey, like wanting to be a legit guy, and then why is he only showing up to PLEs? And you could say the same argument for Roman in a way. Well, why does he only show up to SmackDown once every 4 shows? But I don't know. I want to see a little bit more from Logan. I think he's SmackDown, or maybe moved over to Raw. I can't remember. But I want to see a bit more of him. There you go. Yeah. So I want to see a bit more of him on shows, not just come out. So credit to him for that match. Absolutely there, but I've never really been a fan of him, but I'll certainly watch this space if he wants to be a bit more invested in the WWE.
Absolutely. All right. Real surprise this match. Now, firstly, I just want to say that I didn't realise Bailey was injured. Secondly,
No, me
though,
neither.
I also don't think that Bailey is legit injured. I think this is
Yeah,
kayfabe
I
injury.
agree. Yes. for
Reason
sure.
why I say that is because Liv and Raquel come out looking $1,000,000. Fantastic. I'll try and keep it PG here, but Sammy and I were having a conversation as we do. And then Lyra comes out, and I turned around to Sammy. I called. I said, "Here comes Becky. Here comes Becky." And then we hear, "Oh!" Well, I lost my shit. That was fantastic. But the way that pair worked together. Yeah, this has been going on for a little while. It's working. I thought it was great. I think I listened to a podcast where Lyra was saying how she used to watch Becky and all that and looked up to her and all that sort of jazz. And it was great. You got the young and the veteran working together in sync. They clean up the titles. I am looking forward to that pair because they kept making a big deal about how Bailey and Lyra were slapped together. Didn't make sense. That's what makes me think that Bailey's injury was fake, because at the end of the day, this doesn't feel slapped together. This feels like that pair could work really, really well. Ads, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, no, big fan of this one. Like, I have suckered my wife into watching wrestling across the last 3 or 4 years. So she's a big, reality TV drama. So it's pretty much what WWE is anyway, basically. So yeah, she was actually big on it's going to be Becky. It's going to be Becky. I was like, yeah, we sort of talked about that on the podcast the week before, and yeah, she was very, very excited when she came out. The two country women, they obviously work very well together. We know that Lyra took the NXT title off Becky about 12 to 18 months ago, so they have chemistry in the ring, and you could see that it shone through. It was like a solid match without being fantastic, but yeah, just intrigued to see what this looks like for the two of them going forward. And I kind of think a tag team title run for Becky might be a good way to reintroduce her to WWE instead of just going straight for the title, as Charlotte was introduced that way, going straight for WrestleMania main event. So pretty solid. Really great to see Becky back. She does bring a lot to the company for sure.
Sammy?
The Fighting Irish is strong, baby. Fighting Irish. That's it. That's it.
I just hope they don't come up with something cheesy for the tag team name, Like, I kept thinking of different ones myself, and I'm just like, no, I hope you come up with something cool. The moment that I absolutely loved, the look on Liv's face when Becky's music hit, I legitimately think she may have shit her pants. That was good. It was a good look. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk the main event, and because the main event is going to set us up, we are now then going to move straight into where we think WWE is going to go. I want to preface this by saying that Cena in the post-show basically took no questions. He kept just saying, that's clickbait, move on, that's click. I thought that was hilarious. But he's made it very clear, you want a headline, you're going to have to watch Monday Night Raw. Yep, we obviously won't get to do a podcast post Monday Night Raw. This is already as close to an emergency podcast as you get. But I think it'll allow us, if we know what the match was like, we kind of alluded to it at the start. Cena come out, no frills, no entry, no anything. He even, after the telecast, they showed in the post-show and that they cut. He wanted the music cut, the whole lot, and just walked out up the ramp with no music and the like. Versus Cody, had the motorbikes coming out, the whole lot. He had the fancy mask, which he lift up with the face shield and all that sort of jazz. Looked all very cool. Cena wins. We knew it was going to happen. If you didn't know it was going to happen, seriously, do you watch the product? But boys, what do you think of the overall match?
Sammy, you go.
Yeah, Sammy's been holding his breath. I could have thrown to you, but you know what? I was just waiting for you to go, shit.
Come on. You've been waiting for this moment, the whole podcast, Sammy.
You can't absolutely blue balls me by having the last two WrestleManias that we've had You have Shawn Michaels do the gate announcement for night 1. You hear the glass break for night 2 gate announcement, and then total across both nights. Which might I add, how was it sold out night 1 with 61,000 people, but then sold out night 3 with 63,000 people? Where'd you pull the 2,000 extra seats from? Is what I want to know.
They were in the parking lot. Shut up.
Oh well, fucking. That match shit me anyway. So, and Stone Cold was absolutely off his tits, regardless. Anyway, chug some.
He had a beer. He had 2 beers, 3 beers, 4 beers. Oh, I could go on. Like when he started counting the audience.
Yes.
But regardless of both of those, really, did it really have to end like that? And
look, the only thing I'll challenge you on there is I am kind of glad, as much as of all of us, really wanted to see a stunner and would have absolutely lost my mind to watch The Rock come out and Stone Cold to lay hands on him. I also am kind of glad in retrospect that we didn't just get the Avengers Assemble sequence that was WrestleMania 41, because otherwise, 40, sorry, because otherwise what that's going to do is set this expectation that every year it's going to be an Avengers Assemble, and it's going to be boring as batshit. And I think at first I thought, it's just going to be a decoy when Stone Cold come out. But in all honesty, it was also like everyone knew he was there. And so there was that expectation. So I think there was that case of, well, you really want this, do you? No. And that in itself, I think, is a stroke of genius. Sorry to cut you off, mate. I just had to challenge you on that one.
No, you're welcome to challenge it, but it'll be very, very, very interesting to see what happens tomorrow on Monday night. It's going to be absolute. It's going to be hell. I can't wait for it. As much as I hate the fact that Cena's won. If we get heel Homelander Cody, I'm sold. I'm done. I'll give up. I'll go watch AEW.
Oh, that's harsh. Ads before he buries us. Quick, save us before he buries us.
Yeah, I mean, like, normally I'm relatively composed and mildly articulate most of the time. Travis Scott, are you kidding me? Like, he must either have like a really strong connection with Triple H, the writers, something, or he's just paid a lot of money to be at the end of WrestleMania and to be the main contributing factor in this whole contest. Like, I don't know the connection. Maybe someone can fill it in for me. But Travis Scott being the difference in this match, like, I hate this. I hate that it ended with Travis Scott as the main one. Berto, I feel like you're itching to jump down the mic and give me some extra details, so I will allow you to do that.
I don't agree with it necessarily being Travis Scott, but I think it made sense that you had to have someone who, like, if The Rock had to come out, we were all expecting The Rock. Travis Scott is almost like The Rock was just sitting in the background going, well, Cena, you're not quite getting it done. Let me send you the henchman. And as we know, Travis Scott was playing the henchman. Now, as far as why Travis Scott, well, I mean, he had that WrestleMania theme music they had this year was Travis Scott's tune. I liked it in the fact that you had a match that was essentially a disqualification could have been called. Then they did the whole bump of the referee, and you're like, firstly, for starters, you've got referees who are built like brick shithouses taking the lightest bump and then they're knocked out for the rest of the match. I kind of like the fact that then Travis Scott did something that distracted the referee, and then in pulling the referee out, knocked him out, and he's allowed there. So that allowed the shenanigans to go. I really do feel that if we had have had anything else, now we get back to WrestleMania 40. Oh, so you've come out. Well, I'll come out. And then you come out and I'll come out. And then it's all ready to go. So that's the only defense I'll give to it. A lot of people have been saying a lot of stuff online. If Travis Scott continues to be dominant, I might change my tune, but it made sense that in light of what we saw at Elimination Chamber, carrying it over in light of not bringing The Rock out, because we weren't going to get The Rock. It makes sense now. I'll let sleeping dogs lie with that one.
Yeah, it's I can see that aspect of it, but like you still could have had the final boss come out, but then no one else comes out, and then Cody's left wondering. I always come to support other people. Why isn't anyone coming to help me? And then does he finally cross that line of yeah?
Well,
So, I don't know.
the same could say that of all people, they sent out Travis Scott. Anyone out the back could have gone blown on him and he'd fall over. So in the same breath as that, like if The Rock comes out, people could be shit scared because The Rock has always also thrown his weight around. He's the boss. He's bigger than Triple H. He is God in their world. Do you come out and start with him? But Travis Scott, I'd be sitting there if I was Cody going, so the lowest rung on this ladder and not one of you guys could come out and clean this up for me? Really? So who have I got as friends out the back? And as everyone said, that championship belt comes with weight. I think there's a lot of deeper thought to this, and it's not until I put my emotions away and went, I can see where this writing's going, and I think Raw's going to be very interesting. What does Cena do? He's apparently been declared the headline when they come out to Perth.
Yes.
So that indicates that no, he's not going to just disappear into the night. Great. Yeah, good on you, Ads. You'll get to go. We won't.
But it's October.
It's October. Why? What's your problem with October?
What's wrong? Do you not like October? Is it not your favorite month?
Well, to start off with, it's absolutely fucking ages away.
Yeah.
I want it
It has
now.
to be. It has to be, mate.
But like, we're just gonna have to wait and watch tomorrow because it's gonna piss me off sitting here stewing about it and talking about it.
True.
I think the interesting parts will be is what comes up next for those who lost belts. I really do.
Agreed.
I think what goes on with LA Knight, I think LA Knight's going to give up on the US Championship and he's going to put his eyes on Intercontinental or maybe he might be ready for heavyweight. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts on off Jay. I think Jay's going to have a nice run. I really do. I don't think it's going to be a very lengthy run, but I think at the moment he's got too much, there's too much of a pop for the man. He's well over. I don't think there's going to be Cody calling a rematch on John Cena. I wouldn't be surprised if we now start to see the run between Randy and John somewhere along the lines. I just think we're going to finish off with Randy holding the belt at some point and then maybe Cody coming after Randy. What, Sammy?
It makes sense, but you've also then got to look for scheduling and all the rest of it. They've just then released that SummerSlam's going to be across 2 nights now. It's just, you've got Backlash, Fastlane, 2 nights of SummerSlam, the 3 nights that you've got at bloody Elimination Chamber now in Perth. Plus then all of the Raw and the SmackDowns in between all of that too. It just makes it quite nearly impossible to see where it's going to go. All I've got to say is I hope Seth comes out, Seth turns heel and just absolutely freaking rocks it all.
And that is where it's going to get very interesting. All right, we could sit here speculating, but we've got Raw 24 hours away. So with that, boys, I think we'll call it a day. We will get back on the mic in a couple of weeks' time and really talk about where it's all gone. Ads, Sammy, thank you for joining me post-WrestleMania.
Always
and
a
as
pleasure.
always,
Thanks so much.
keep it